we be coming, we talk runs into Lamitt. Regular clipping like Lizzie, bitch. I wanna put 100, put a switch up on that bitch and make it blue. It be stuttering, if he talk down on my name, I swear to God, I kill my mother.
Are we live?
Yeah, I'll see.
Yeah, we live.
We live. Can I live?
What's happening, everybody? Welcome to yet another episode of the illustrious, excellent, exuberant Far Side Report. What's up, brother?
What's up, brother? How you doing?
How you doing, Fred? My name is Rico Lamitt.
And I'm Fred Smith.
And this is the Far Side Report.
Woo!
We've had another very action-packed week.
Yes.
Have we not?
Yes. Everything's opening back up. I'm staying in traffic for like 20 hours just to go 2 miles. It looks like we're back, bro.
It's the good old days, man. The good old days. Yeah, California, fogging up right now. We're in the middle of a heat wave. It's been about 100 degrees all damn week in Los Angeles. And you see that I am shining right here.
Shout out to Soul Glow.
When you move out of Los Angeles from other places, you understand that you don't use as much. Use more lotion because it's a dry climate here. And unfortunately, we're in the middle of a fucking heat wave. I put some lotion on, I'm sweating my fucking ass off right now. So excuse me, sweating bullets. I do take showers. I do moisturize afterwards. So you see me dripping a little bit today because we ain't got no AC in the motherfucking studio.
Yeah, I'm coming through to see me dripping.
Acid drip. You see the acid drip right here. We are good. So we had a pretty action-packed week. On the 15th, it's good. On the 15th, California opened back up. Gavin Newsom, as he faces more heat from the powers that be, decided to open us back up, and traffic is back. Everything's jam-packed, and how was your experience this week in traffic, Fred?
Yeah, shout out to nuisance. But you know what? It does my heart good to see people finally just stepping out and just going back to some type of normal.
Right. Yeah, and it's important that we do get back into some sort of normalcy, some sort of cadence, back to what we're doing. And so things start to become predictable again.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's funny you talk about those cadences because that's one thing I've learned from you is to be terrific, you got to be specific.
Yes.
Throw them butter bars out.
Exactly,
Shout out,
man. Dropping those Alcatraz bars over here, man. Something like San Quentin in the day. Maybe Sing Sing. I don't know. I don't play. But no. But we have a couple of big topics to go over today. The first of which, obviously, today is Juneteenth.
Yes.
So June 19th is the celebration of the slaves in Texas, actually in Galveston, did not know for 2.5 years that they were free. And it became it wasn't like a happy moment at first, especially when they first found out. They were beaten, they were killed. A lot of terrible things happened. Over the years, the holiday has been kind of drowned out. And I actually came from the South. I had no idea what the hell Juneteenth was until I moved to Chicago.
Oh.
And when I moved to Chicago, it was more of just like a shopping holiday. It's like Support Black Business Day, right? Okay. But there's no real history pushed out to us as to where it came from, what the point of it was, or anything like that. And believe it or not, I didn't even know that until I'm out here in Los Angeles and learned about it in Lamitt Park from my other big homie, Fred Smith, Fred Hicks.
Liberal Los Angeles showed you something?
It was conservative Black community in Los Angeles showed me something about Juneteenth and why it's important that we know our history, know what actually went down, and know why we need to support each other in our communities. Because what if you don't, you're doomed to repeat the past, if you don't learn from your mistakes, right? Yeah.
Admittedly, I thought Juneteenth was like another South by Southwest kind of deal. Because it just kind of crept up like a Will Smith album. You kind of like to learn it over time.
Will Smith album? Who the fuck listens to Will Smith album? No disrespect. What up, Will?
Well, that's the analogy. I'm like, what is this Juneteenth thing? He just kind of crept up. Next thing you know, he's all up in your face as an A-lister.
He didn't creep up. I mean, he did a lot of shit. Like,
Bro, I from
You don't
Philly.
think so?
I know
Being
the
from Philly?
backstory. I know the
Did
backstory.
everybody hate Will Smith from Philly?
No, they don't. What happened was really complicated. Let's just say that Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince will still be together. Because that's how they started out as a team.
I think they are. I think they are. I think they're vibing together again now.
Now, yeah. But you even saw it during the episodes of Bell and Fresh Prince, so you won't even see it.
Did you see the reunion?
No.
They brought back the black Aunt Viv.
Oh, wow.
Light skin and dark skin, you know? So colorism. But for real, it's all about supporting where we are with Juneteenth now. It was marked as a federal holiday by Joseph Robinette Biden. And I got mixed feelings about it, man. Really do. We're at a very pivotal moment in society right now, and there's the race relations aren't that great, and you have a lot of voter suppression going on. You have a lot of stuff going on in the South where they're shutting down the history, like the Tulsa race massacre, which wasn't in Tulsa, it's actually in Greenville. That whole thing. The governor of Oklahoma signed into a bill that the schools cannot teach about that or anything related to slavery more than what's already in the history books. And right.
That's even like worse than Arizona.
Right. So
no disrespect, because I love my golf courses out there.
Right. So
I learned.
Yeah. So at the same time where this, I know, a pat on the back federal holiday came out of nowhere, creeped up on us, like you said. They're not really doing anything to advance, Black economics, educate folks on how to get stuff done, and people continue to slip through the cracks. But it's just, here's a holiday.
I see a dot. So
yeah,
the cousin to that could be the MORE Act. There were some steps missed in between from what people are telling us.
I mean, yes and no. They've been pushing for a few years to get Juneteenth as a federal holiday. Okay. And actually Donald Trump was for it, despite Joe Biden pushing it through. I think the House approved of it, or the Senate approved of it before Donald Trump left office, and Joe Biden ended up signing it into law. But it's good. I mean, what the fuck is a holiday when you don't have reparations? You don't have any acknowledgement over everything as to what happened in the past. And you still have a lot of splintered views on what should be done going forward. I'm all for celebrating the holiday and supporting Black businesses. I've been trying to do a lot more of that since the pandemic started in the first place, because we need that help, But on the other side of it, like, what are you going to do concrete, to help people in need?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm saying it even coming from what I was doing before. I've been doing a lot of high level stuff, and then you get dropped back down into, I guess, the real world. And I'm going, where are my people? Yeah. Like, I'm seeing signs out there. Shout out to the other minorities who've made it and have their names on buildings.
Right.
But I'm still not seeing that, and this is like 3 generations in. So I'm like, where is the disconnect? So
right, and it's not a Republican Democrat thing at all. The Black community as a whole, we have been voting more so for the Democrats over the last 30 plus years. Yep. The wealth gap has widened. Yep. Black businesses still have not been supported, and there's still plenty of violence in our communities too. So at what point do you have to say, like, we need to try something different? And I'm not talking about like switching parties or anything like that. Anybody knows me knows I don't believe in fucking political parties anyways. It's a whole bunch of bullshit. But what can we do? Cannabis industry, when we first started, when these conversations began into legalization and decriminalization, a lot of people, the conversations around social equity were brought up as a way of sidestepping the toxic reparation conversation. Right. And what do we see state by state by state? Social equity is not working. And one of the states where I was a big fan of, like, what they were doing, because they're trying new stuff over and over. Big ups to Michigan, yes. Chris Jackson out there. They got shut down. The social equity program in Detroit, which was seen as like very, very progressive. It's going to work. It's going to be good stuff. Got shut down, and they said it was unconstitutional. Yes.
Dude, that blows my mind right there. Like, so let me get this straight. Can the Native Americans also come back and say that you were unconstitutional for?
Oh, they actually did that in Oklahoma. Shout out to our Native American state of Oklahoma.
I'm down for now to go.
So, Liz Warren in the house. But it's like, what do you do at this point when you don't have a lot of political power as a quote unquote community? You don't have a lot of economic prowess within your community. You have a lot of things that have happened throughout history to put your people down. You're oppressed. You're unfairly, profiled by authorities, and you're just in a bad position, and you're not helped out economically. You got reparations left. And I know it's a very, very unpopular thing among certain circles, but for me, this is not the words of Canavision Global. This is me personally. I think that's all you got left to do, man. If reparations were to come out, I know it's hard to measure like how much you can put back into the community. I know it's hard to measure like who gets what as well. Is it like the direct descendants of slaves? Is it Black people overall because they have been viewed a certain way, and that is measurable data at this point? But I think that's like the last thing you can do, because
that still can be solved by math at the end of the day. Just include inflation in there. Look at the GDP, go back and divide it by the percentages of.
But to a certain extent, because where were you living, right? Like where were you living at a certain time? Did you move somewhere? Right. But then you have to put in there, police profiling, where you pulled over. Like there's a bunch of stuff, a bunch of factors that go into that.
So we add COLA, cost of living allowance.
There's a bunch more.
I'm just saying,
but I think it's like an endless conversation as to, oh yeah, you guys owe me more. You guys, they don't really deserve this. Right. And recent polls and data were showing that a lot of the conservatives that were against it were saying directly the number one response as to why reparations should not be given out is because direct descendants of slaves do not deserve it. And then the number one reason that progressives and Democrats were saying this, and a lot of people were Biden supporters, saying that Barack Obama included was against reparations too. But I gotta say that they were saying because how do you measure exactly how much is given out and who gets what? And it's a complicated situation, complicated conversation. But at the end of the day, I personally believe that give people the money and let them win or fail on their own, and let motherfuckers build their own communities.
I have a real highly creative answer, because Kuwait already has it figured out. They're already paying their people just for the oil. That's the import and export, and plus they already got this figured out. So we already have models that are out there. Native Americans already have a casino. So it's just, it's a bank. That's exactly, if you look at a casino for what it is, it's a private bank. You've got your own currency.
I think it's a very, very false equivalent. And a casino is a money pit, and it is addictive, and you do it to draw people. You do it, and you have that. It fucks up the community.
I'm just saying,
casinos fuck up community.
I don't know about that. There's a lot of worse things out there. We know them. I mean, there are far worse things out there. My point is something that creates an economy that has a bank. Because I don't know too many people who don't have Black banks that are out here.
Crypto.
Well, I'm just saying. Like even I went to a crypto meeting the other day. They're, you're building your own, all that stuff. I'm just like,
I'm saying there's an opportunity within crypto, like right now. And then, Killer Mike started, I think it's an actual Greenville bank. And there's a couple other regional Black banks that are actually getting more funding, so they can actually become chartered and all that. So
I guess what I'm saying from a high level, the first step is acknowledgement.
Yeah.
The second step is looking to see if there are any current models around the world, which they are. Mm-hmm. And then from there, we'll just formulate at least a base standard and then go from there, because then we'll have numbers involved. The numbers are the numbers. I mean, here's my biggest problem, if we really want to talk about a problem, is the fact that we have so much intellectual property as a people, and yet it's been ravaged all of these years, and it shows up as entertainment. We don't keep our own masters. I mean, you want to have a real conversation, to me, that's the one.
Yeah, and it all comes back to education in the beginning, and who's doling out this education.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit about that earlier this week. Standard Cannabis News Hour. Education is regional, right? I grew up ages 5 to 10. I was in Germany, so we had military school education, DODD. There's Department of Defense.
Smart people, trust everybody. DOD.
Yeah, and it was real education. It was not, skewed in one way or the other. It was straight fucking facts.
Yep.
And then when I was 10 years old, I came back to Virginia, Fluvanna County, Virginia. What up, my Flucos? And we didn't really learn much about slavery. We didn't really learn much about anything bad in the Civil War, and it was seen as the war of Northern aggression.
Wow.
And people accepted this.
Yes.
And these were my classmates. I didn't see them as being aggressive towards me or anything like that.
He's got somebody made news from that you knew.
Yeah.
I just remembered that.
Yeah, like nothing. And then fast forward to the Unite the Right rally when Trump got in office, and it was in 2017. One of my classmates, Jason Kessler, he ended up organized that Unite the Right rally where the girl had her hire got killed, and I'm looking on TV. My hometown is about to be burned down by a bunch of white supremacists.
Wow.
And this is what happens when you don't learn the facts as to what happened, right? And you're able to champion a bunch of causes that are bullshit.
Yeah.
When you boil everything down, the Confederacy, when they broke away from America, and the leaders in the current Confederacy, they were traitors.
Right.
Period. They were traitors, and to erect statues and all that other stuff down there of these leaders, and they all were erected during tense racial times in America.
Right.
They were not erected back then. It's complete utter bullshit, because you allow local communities to champion things and start telling their own stories, and it's not fact. And then we get into a place where we are right now, like nobody knows what is real, what is fake, who to believe, and you just get people to get all tribal, and they don't want to learn, they don't want to collaborate, right?
Oh yeah, well, all of these people admittedly are watching the same models in history, because remember, we broke away from the crown to start the United States, and then these guys broke away from the United States to do their own thing. So that's what I'm seeing as far as leadership goes. It's like it almost becomes a culture where somebody with a bright idea or smarter than you, they also try to impose their will, and then they're creating their own narratives. So that's the reasons why I get so gun shy about listening to certain people speak, whether they're on TV, whether they're in politics, because they know this small little secret. And as a result of that, you keep people in the mushroom theory, which is you keep them in the dark and you feed them shit. And they still grow, but they're not growing like the rest of the vegetation out there. And we're a mold and we're a fungus, but yet you still want to eat us. That's really how I look at what's going on in the world right now, because at the end of the day, all of us have our own unique genius. And I want to be able to put that out collectively, but not get shot down because I'm black, get shot down because of some other shit that happened that I have no control over. Do I need to apologize for being melanated? I mean, this is crazy. I've always been an intellect first, and I've always been a critical thinker, not necessarily a critical person. And you know that. So when I was jumping in and out of these different worlds, they're like different languages. The Confederate dictionary was different than the American dictionary. I mean, there's literally 57 dictionaries in print right now, and they all have different definitions. But just like you said, DOD, that's like the real top level knowledge. And people don't understand these little small delineations. And through time, we have this gentrification of the knowledge base. And then it's just a vicious psycho. I just wish stop, bro.
And I think that one of the most important things that you taught me is that information is out there, and we don't have to adhere to these, eye-grabbing, clickbaity headlines. There's always dots you can follow within those stories, and it's always important to look at both sides of the coin and live on the edge, right?
Yes, that's where all the breakthroughs lie.
And I just think it's very, very important that check out declassified documents. Like, stop looking at the breaking news, stop looking at this 24-hour news cycle. It's good to actually know what's going on in the world, but make sure you guys are digging back, because how many fucking corrections are made on a daily basis of this bullshit that's put out on the 24-hour news cycle from all angles. And I'm not gonna pick one news source over the other from all of these motherfuckers, right? Am I right though?
You're right. bro, you're considered a conspiracy theorist now because you're thinking for yourself. You just don't look at unclassified documents. You can set something like look at the Freedom of Information Act ones or the other stuff. But yeah, that's really how you look at it because that's true history. That went down. So think about what he just said and the magnitude of that. Some of these unclassified documents take 50 years to get to. 50 years. It's like a generation and some change, right? We're behind the curve like that. And then from there, I like to always get to the source of things. And to your point, like earlier, all of these narratives just come colliding together, and then you don't know what's real and what's fake. That's why deep down inside, we have to really mind our own business, discover who we are, and look at everything. I'm a walking question mark in life. You know, my head's are in the clouds, but my feet are firmly planted in the ground. And that's just how I wish that we collectively would just mind our own business. Everybody eats. We mess with everybody, and just let everybody be their individual, unique self collectively. I mean, that's okay to me.
But at what point? But we can't move forward until we have a conversation.
Yes.
And I know I coined this phrase right here. Like, you got to have process before you progress.
Yes.
And if you don't, you're not only doomed to repeat the sins of the past, but you're doomed to have a much bigger ripple effect and have that magnified and to have the future become even worse than before. Because some people, like, as you said, know damn well what the fuck happened.
Yeah.
And they're using the fact that it has been whitewashed, it has been just like let go, to amplify through coded language.
Yes.
What can happen next?
Yes.
If we're more careful this time.
Right.
So I say that to say this. Yes, we want to move forward. Yes, we need to move forward. However, we need to acknowledge what the fuck happened in the past. We need to have empathy for folks that don't look like us. And on both sides of this shit, if you were not affected by the war on drugs, if you were not affected by a lot of oppressive behavior, do a little bit is what is my challenge to everybody. If you can, if you can do a little bit to try to understand the point of view where this person is coming from, their past, where they grew up, how they were treated, probably has effect on how they're acting currently. And then on the other side of the equation, if you grew up and you never had to deal with any of that shit, like, why the fuck would it be on your mind?
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't necessarily, like, there are some evil people in the world, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't necessarily make somebody evil on the other side of the conversation just because they can't comprehend, like, what the fuck you're mad at, you know?
And then the other part of that is the edge.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I just look at it like the mediation space where all I look at it as is what makes you alive. Because what makes you alive over here is different than what makes them alive. And collectively, we're at the edge coming together. That's when we can see what we can and can't do together.
Right. And it's gonna be a tough process. There's gonna be some pain involved, but it's important, you know, if we want to preserve what we have in this nation. You know, a lot of fucked up stuff has happened, like, over history. Started from the absolute beginning of this nation, and America's problem, time and time again, has been just moving forward and not processing what happened, not acknowledging genocide on multiple levels, not acknowledging certain things have happened to all different kinds of communities and just moving forward, not acknowledging what we've done to other countries and moving forward, putting the same people in office, putting the same people, continuously electing motherfuckers that don't go with what the people are saying that they want. Right? Like, why do we continue to do the same thing? And what I keep on hearing from people is, whatever, it doesn't affect me. It doesn't affect me. I'm not into this. I'm not into politics. I'm like, when people say they're not into politics, it's okay not to be into who's running or who's in charge, but just know that certain things, especially on the local level, they affect your ass. Like, left and right, from the water, from the garbage treatment to your school's your education for your kids, to the medicines you can or can't take. Like, there's a lot of stuff that is involved there. And if you care about anything in your well-being, like, you don't have to be into politics. You should know what these motherfuckers are putting into law.
Exactly. And that's part of my critical thinking mind process too, is I like to think globally but I need to act locally.
Right.
Because that's where I'm putting in the higher level thinking that really is affecting me. And you see me, like this time last year, I was going deep into news.
Yeah.
But this year, since all the noise is rising up, my focus is on just really thinking stuff from a high level,
Right.
but in seeing how everything's affected our environment.
Yeah.
You know, even like the Juneteenth stuff that we're talking about right now, this all of a sudden, as soon as they stamped it, the news came out.
Right.
And we're having these opinions and these dialogues. So to your point, here's the acknowledgement part, but I don't think it's people still hearing it. It's still a little history deaf.
Right. And if you care about the well-being of your own situation, your family situation, your community situation, doesn't matter if you're in Bumblefuck, Arkansas, or if you're in the most populated city, period, like out there as in New York or California, in LA, it doesn't matter where you are. Just know something somebody does over here is going to affect you one way or the other. Yeah. Like we are connected. We are the United States of America, and we are connected. And a lot of stuff is happening on a state-to-state basis right now, which is starting to
it's getting kind of hectic.
It's starting to rumble.
Yes.
And it's hard not to die. It's hard not to devolve into, you know, our tribal states. Yeah. But we can't do that. We got to understand that what we do over here is affecting people over there. Yeah. Even though their situation is very different, and that's where that empathy comes into play. Like, no, I live in Los Angeles, California. No, I'm not in Omaha, Nebraska. However, they're going to vote a certain way because some stuff is going on in their community. I can't demonize them for some person that they want to put in office because they have different issues that affect them on a granular level than I do. Yep. Right. And so we can't just chastise people, especially as we go back into society. We're out of quarantine now. We can't just chastise people and devolve into chaos. Like you've seen like all of these like fights and shit in the airports and like people getting close to each other again. Like, yeah, it's almost as if, you know, like it was meant to be that way. Keep these motherfuckers away from each other for over a year. Put them on high alert, like you're gonna fucking die from this virus, right? Cut off their entire revenue supplies, like they have, and then you're free.
Be savage,
right?
Eat what you kill,
right? And so all these motherfuckers are going. They've been living in their own data silos, their own echo chambers within their homes. Yeah. They've shut off everything else that including interpersonal communication. Yeah, it's a big deal. And then they're just going out like acting like ain't shit happened. And you know, you got people banging on each other at the checkout line at Target.
Yeah. That's just, that's amazing.
Right?
It really is.
So I implore everybody, I challenge everybody to just like take a half step back, take a deep breath, take a half step back, and just try to understand we've all had a fucked up 2020.
Yes.
We all have lost people close, distant. We've all second guessed certain things that we were doing right, that we were doing wrong. And but the most important thing we have to acknowledge, we're all in this together.
Yes.
And big shout out to Juneteenth. You know, I guess it's a step. I'm not for moral victories. Like I've never been about moral victories. I've always been like, I think it's a bullshit phrase, period, buzzword. But it is a step towards acknowledgement. And with, like you said, Fred, that's the first step, right? Yeah. Acknowledgement as to what happened. And then maybe when more people are educated about what Juneteenth is, what it was, stuff that happened in the past, and the facts are actually brought up, and we have community and state leaders acknowledging that too. Yes. Then maybe we can start having those conversations, and I hope that happens sooner rather than later.
I sure do, because there's so much that I'm seeing in the quote unquote middle of my life, and to your point, I've lost friends, I've lost really close ones. And I just don't want to die at this time in my life when I'm seeing so much emerging on the horizon, spiritually, socially, holistically. Right. It really is a beautiful evolution that we're going through right now as mankind. Mm-hmm. And I really think that we should honor the fact that we are seeing progress. We are seeing more diversity. We are seeing more just an inclusion, not necessarily how people are currently defining it, but I'm listening to an inclusion, meaning having new conversations that we were possibly scared of having before. You know, because to your point, I may not agree. Well, you didn't say this part, but I'm going to say this part. I may not agree with everything you say.
Right.
And that's just a unique, beautiful thing of who we are. But as long as I'm willing to listen to understand versus listen to respond, to me, that's what life is all about. And then I do want to be able to experience everything, but also make my own decisions as a result of that.
It's about respect.
Yes.
Right. I definitely don't agree with everything you have to say, and vice versa. But I always end our conversations, our interactions with respect.
Yes.
Right. And I think that's important that we all start conversing with each other. With respect. And if somebody's a piece of shit, they're a piece of shit.
I look at his disagreements with me and vice versa as his brilliance in a different lane. And I'm not even kidding when I say that. I always like to look at you 100 because, again, there's a lot that attracts me and there's a lot that repels me. And that's really how we communicate. Yep. This is the alchemy of what we do.
Right. So,
and just because he's dark skinned, I'm light skinned. I'm not even kidding when I say this because you know it's true. You brought it up early when I feel.
Hey, man.
I know, right?
Cacao.
Shout out to Al B. Shore, LL Cool J, Christopher West. But there's always this intra, this connections as well as the inter. So that's all I'm just saying. Just from acknowledging you as being brilliant minded, and when I don't agree with you, then that's just a part of your brilliance I don't understand.
Likewise,
that's really how I look at it. And if I haven't learned anything from that, then shame on me.
Right.
And that's really how I like to play.
And
we've never talked about this, by the way.
Yeah. Likewise, brother. And I view you the same exact way. Like if we don't agree on something, we don't agree on something. That doesn't make me want to hate you.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
You didn't do anything like detrimental to my life or to my way of being or anything like that. If you have a different point of view, you have a different point of view. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like at all.
And that is really how two alphas can just still get it done for the people. I get goosebumps talking about that because even if we don't get along with each other, we still have the common cause, which is the community, which is the flower. We're very flower centric.
Right. And I have no problem ceding that alpha position, taking 8 steps back and becoming a delta.
Yeah, me too. On the other side of that. 8 sides.
Hashtag. All right. What up Sharon Seymour Jerklicious in the house? Ernesto M. Gutierrez. What up, Fred? He said, what's up to you?
Oh, what up, Fred?
Ernesto,
what's up, brother?
That's your homeboy. He said, what's up, Fred?
Yes.
And what up, everybody? Like on the chat here, we're gonna run through the. It's a deep conversation, man. That's some good shit, man. I appreciate being able to have these conversations with you as my big brother, man, because I trust not only do I trust your opinion, but I respect your reaction to everything that I have to say. Whether it's a positive reaction or a negative reaction, I respect where you're coming from. And even if I don't agree with the result, there we go. We're back. It's back on. I think we had a glitch in the internet there. Glitch in the matrix.
Yes.
We're getting hacked, Fred. We're getting hacked.
Matrix. Oh, Delta 8-trix.
Yeah. We started talking about Delta 8 and what happens.
Look,
we lose the fucking feed.
We already had that conversation.
All right. So you want to wait till, are we back on Facebook yet? Are we good? Okay. So big shout out to everybody in the room. We're going to move on to our next topic, and we're going to run through everything else. That was a great conversation, man. I'm glad we had that. That was some real shit too. So just for everybody at home, that was real conversations. Good to talk about.
We never script anything.
Fuck scripts.
Scripture.
I get my shit from the streets. All right. So Weed Maps IPO, huge this week. All right. So ticker symbol MAPS, MAPS on NASDAQ. Let's see what this shit is trading at now, dude. So that went out like this week. I think it's like it was last at $20, I want to say. This past last time I looked at it, but it did start to sink a little bit because that thing was fucking through the roof, like straight up. And what people don't understand about weed maps, right? I tried to break this down when we had a panel. I think it was early in the pandemic. With a lot of local like community leaders and everything. Everybody was like, "Fuck weed maps, and do this and do that." Like, I hear you, I understand, but we need to look at the big picture. And the big picture is we're still sniping at each other on a community level, trying to take out the guy across the street, trying to take out the gal with her infection shop because her labeling is better than ours, but our product is better than hers. Like, work together, because Weed Maps is a multi-billion-dollar company now. Yeah, well. Like, out in the open, they were multi-billion-dollar before. But there was one point, I believe, that Weed Maps was making like over like 20 million a month. Yes. That was like on the books, and people don't understand. We always say this, like, logistics is everything. Yes. Right? Logistics is absolutely everything. This is why Uber is worth like $70 billion. Yeah. This is why Amazon is so fucking powerful, and it's why they've gobbled up everybody else, and this is why everybody has to work with them, whether it's DHL, UPS, FedEx. Bow the fuck down to your god Amazon, God Bezos, motherfucker, because of logistics. Yes. Right? Weed Maps has been around, people don't understand, since 2012. So whether you are a legal shop, you're a trap shop, you're rural, you are urban, does not matter. They have data on absolutely everybody, everything. And I think Weed Maps, and so this is my personal, this is not investment advice. I have to say that shit. It's not fucking investment advice. But Weed Maps might be the only company coming out of the cannabis world, like from the trap days to now, that doesn't really have to worry about those other big companies, because they can be just as big as them. Yes, if not bigger. Yes. Because they were connecting dots even before these. They got on the scene. Right. They were like the original cannabis version of Backpage. Shout out to Rubbin Tugs. Backpage still up? I don't know. That's just something that I heard. Sure you don't. You sing that song? Let them sing it. Anyways, so shout out to Weed Map. Shout out to Cedric Haynes over there, my homeboy Cedric. Shout out to my everybody on the Weed Maps team. That's a huge day for them this past week. And to see a cannabis company like Weed Maps, who is still under federal investigation, coming out swinging like that, it's like, yo, there's hope for the rest of us. They are proof that you can go from ashy to classy and still get hit on both sides of it at the exact same time. Right. It's funny because as when I was with Baker Technology before we went public, I remember all these other companies, they're like, oh yeah, we're going to beat out Weed Maps. We're going to end up like killing on Weed Maps off, blah, 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 blah. And then we were like, we just want to integrate with them. We want to integrate with you. You get integration. We're gonna let y'all fight it out. Like the dots. Right. But at the end of the day, the reason why we were able to go public as Baker Technologies, I think we had like a 2.5-year run before we went public, was because we were integrating with everybody else. Everybody else was like, oh, we're going to do this better than those people, this better than those people. We were going after the collaborative play, and we were able to move a lot quicker, find out what our weaknesses were, and employ this company to be our crutch over here, right? Find another company with a weakness, and then we were their crutches. So we created like a whole ecosystem, and we knew our fucking place. And that's exactly what Cannapreneur is all about. Cannapreneur. All right, so shout out to Weed Maps. If you guys have not checked it out, check out all the stuff that's going on with them, and big ups to the whole community over there. And it brings us to Cannapreneur as well. We have Big Cannapreneur, our first event this week on Thursday at APOP Media. That's in the Arts District on 2nd Street. Make sure you guys look out for the email on Monday. We're going to be mapping out where the parking is there too. So there's 2 parking structures. There's one on 2nd Street, and there's another one, I think, on Alameda. We're going to map those out for everybody, because everybody's wondering where the big parking lots were over there. come on time, you ain't got to worry about that. Just say.
There are great places to eat while we're setting up and everything else around there.
Yes,
great
but
places.
Right. So come on out on Thursday. We always take care of our retailers. So retailers come out for free, but everybody else, get your fucking tickets. Get your tickets. We are open up. And the last thing we're going to talk about before we hop off, I know we're a little over time. We had a great conversation. It was worth it. It was worth it.
Yes,
is Father's Day.
Ooh.
Right. So we have Father's Day tomorrow. Big ups to all the dope dads in the motherfucking building, in the motherfucking industry, beyond the industry, to all the fathers holding it down, being there for your kids, taking care of your families. For those who have not been doing that, hopefully you can find a way to make amends and get back to your family. Because if the pandemic didn't teach you anything, I would hope that it teach you that life is flimsy.
Family is everything, however you define it. There's a difference between family and relatives.
Right. Very, very true.
It's my family right here.
Right. That's facts. And if you're holding out, being in touch with the father figure or your family, if you are a father, I personally hope that you guys can find a way to work through that because it's important. I grew up with a terrible father figure at home growing up. And I never knew my biological father. And when I finally, built up the balls to reach out and find out who he was, I found out he had died a long time ago. So as a young father, and this being my first Father's Day out of quarantine, it's really special, right? And don't get all sentimental on here, man. Fred looking at me, puppy dog eyes.
I'm just holding his face.
He's trying to make me cry my own tears and shit. No, but it's special, and I hope everybody out there has time to get with your family, hug and kiss your loved ones, and give it up for the dads in the building, man.
Yeah, and shout out to the ones who are still out there fighting to communicate with your kids. I know I got that battle going on too, because you got some people out there who hold your kids up as chess pieces. Just realize that at the end of the day, the truth always wins. The light will always shine bright, and just hold spaces for people.
Right.
The things that, like I told you about Rico, my biggest takeaway, even working with him directly, is that we're all going to have disagreements, and sometimes they break up families, but you have a spiritual bond, whether you like it or not, with your offspring. It's just the way it works. And just continue to hold space, continue to love. And I know that that's hard to do because, like I said, I've personally gone through it and I'm still going through it. But at the end of the day, love your kids. Just write to them, talk to them, pray for them. Just hold them in your eyes when you're closing them, just like this, and just know that through time they're going to feel you and they'll come back to you. So
right, and I'm just happy, man. I'm happy to be a father, and that was my big positive takeaway from the pandemic was I got to be there every step. Literally, of the way with Zora.
Every step and every pull, but she's savage. she's
my little beastie, What up, Eddie? What up, Eddie?
What up, Eddie?
In the place.
What's up, brother?
It's really dope to be a father. It's awesome, and truth be told, like growing up with a shitty person in that father figure slot with me made it most of my early adult life to the point where I didn't ever want to have kids.
Yeah.
I didn't want to have kids. I was like, fuck that. I was the last of all my homeboys to have kids. And then I met the right person and we got in and we waited. We didn't want to have kids immediately, but we actually did follow through with the timing. And we had the baby like right at the start of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Right. And I didn't know what to do. I was a fucking mess. But other dads in our community, in the cannabis community, were the ones that circled around me and helped me out with like the little things, and like no disrespect to the mothers out there. We know we love our mothers and everything, but this is Daddy's Day. This ain't an all parents matter moment. Dad lives matter right now. Right, we're focusing on the dads right now, moms. So no, but like it was really awesome to see other fathers reach out to me when I was stressed the fuck out. I didn't know what to do. And you know, like some of the OGs, I can't even say the name right here. Some of my OGs, like deep in the game, like, yo, what you gotta do is get the butt taste. You gotta put it on the bootleg. Like, yo,
don't forget that.
It's like, right. No, but it's like there's a dad community out there, and I feel like, you know, fathers really don't get as much shine on a public level as they should. And on the flip side of that, a lot of dads don't put out how good of a father they are, like the dad tips that they have and stuff like that. And they should be more open about that because, you know, as cool as it is to be like all tough and macho like all the time, we have feelings, right?
Yeah.
And it shit hurts, you know, when your kid makes this big accolade and all that other shit, and then they're on TV like, yo, well, I love mama. I love, what up, mama? I was like, what about daddy? Right? It's not always that the daddy ain't there. Yeah. Right? So I think, you know, I'm on a crusade. I'm on a personal crusade. This was Dope Dads. This is why I started Dope Dads podcast. I mean, my man Salvador Santana. I started with Jared Masters. A couple of my, just so happens they're very musically inclined. We've got to have you on Dope Dads, obviously, too, yes. Fred. But just to really just talk about everything that's going on in the world through the lens of just motherfuckers that are fathers and they're in the cannabis industry, right? We got to normalize being a dad so we don't have, you know, any of this glorification like, yo, I ain't grow up with my daddy. There's a lot of that shit going on.
Yeah, you can't play that way, because I can tell you what, I love all my children. And to your point, bro, I really got to call it. I felt your flow. Like, I think because there are certain elements of toxic masculinity, that's one of the things that typically, at least from my viewpoint, because I've been on that lane as well, my PTSD, and I'm still finding my humanity. But I'm thankful that I have enough of a connection to really instill those principles that I would instill as a father, because it's just a different energy from your mother. Yeah. You know, so holistically, and statistics have shown this. Right. If you don't have the father influence on a family, it devastates the family. Yeah. And again, I don't think one sex is better than the other or anything in between on the spectrum. All I'm saying is just that energy is energy, and we need that duality of energy and the edge.
It's the balance.
It's the balance. It's literally that yin and that yang. You know, so to your point, I'm discovering that more as my kids are growing up. We're having better conversations. They're thanking me for being how I've been all these years. Right. And I never thought of it that way, because I'm always out there eating what I kill, hunt. But they're like, slow down. We got you. This is the results of what you're doing, is how we're living our lives. And again, I don't live vicariously through my kids. I want to put that out there. But what I am saying is just that there are certain things that only that kind of energy can do that this energy can't. Yeah. And vice versa. So when you were like that, like a shout out to your mom, like, yeah, what about the dads? Yeah. I feel that.
Yeah. And it's not a slight at all towards the mothers out there, to the can of mamas out there, like all that stuff. Yeah. It's just something that touched me deeply, you know, as a young dad coming into the fold. I didn't have a lot of positive education in that area growing up. Mm-hmm. You know, I was physically abused, you know, by my stepfather. My mother was, my sisters were, and that was my blueprint. That was the blueprint that was given to me. Yeah. And usually when you grow up in situations like that, you take it one of two ways. You either emulate that same behavior or you go the complete opposite. And I was the complete opposite. I didn't want to have kids at all because I did not want to repeat the sins of that person who raised me in that violent, you know, in that violent environment. Yes. Right. So I really feel like there's a massive need to just put dad shit out there, man. It's okay. It's okay to say you love your kids. It's okay to say you love your family. It's okay to, you know, whether you're male, female, it doesn't matter. Just like Fred said, man. And I really think we all have our own definition as to what good parenting is, right? Or what a good parent is. And we should keep that in the family. Let the family decide what their definition of that is, and it should be respected. Yes. Like that's just my personal opinion. Like we should respect that. Like as long as it's positive and the kids and the family's not in a dangerous situation or anything like that. Like if this person wants to be hands off, let the kids run around like a motherfucking hooligan, like whatever. Like that's their motive of parenting. As long as they're not fucking with me, like, yo.
Well, that's the way it was back in the day. I'm not here saying it was okay for me as a kid to drink beer because I was that kid. You know what I'm saying? But
it's not saying it's okay to let your kids smoke weed because I was smoking weed regardless.
Right.
when my dad told me like, don't do this, evil, blah 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 blah, like that.
Yeah. It's just a duality of life. And to your point, like, well, it's just, come on, guys. Just, again, stay in your own lane, mind your own business.
Right.
People do things different ways, and that's what makes us all different. Like you said, I'm not going to have my kid haphazardly just running out in the middle of a busy street.
Right.
But when I was in the hood, we used to have the street parties, and you know how it is, you got the basketball with the crate. Come on, let's keep it 100.
Yeah, no, you dunk, man. I see that. You used to be dunking on them crate back, crate courts. Yes.
But you know, it's just like that's how we grew up. So there is a range of what's acceptable and what's unacceptable, and everybody's reality is different than yours. So literally, mind your own business as long as they're not out there doing malicious harm and all the other crap. I mean, I was a knucklehead. There's a few times when I earned it. You know, but for the most part, to your point, there's a range where it's just straight up abuse. Yeah. And all I want to do is have a range because, again, I don't want my kid putting their hand on that hot oven if they don't need to. So that's parenting.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
Sometimes you just gotta let things blow up too.
Yes, indeed.
Really get the lesson.
Right. Yeah. And to that effect, man, it's just important that we're there. Yeah. Like being there is half the battle. Yeah. Right. So if you have kids, love them, hug them, kiss them. It's okay to cry in front of your kids. If you're a dad, you know, crying is normal. Be able to show your emotion. It's tough for some people, you know, like, especially Fred and I, you know, like I didn't cry at any of my, one of my best friends died senior year of high school. I didn't cry at that shit. I wasn't taught to cry. I was taught like showing any kind of any kind of outward emotion was weak and to never do that. Yep. And what did that end up pushing me into? It's pushed me into an environment of violence. And that's how I got my emotion out. If I was frustrated on something, I'd get real pissed off and I start feeling tears coming and I'd fight. I'd break shit.
And that's where you were this time last year.
Right.
George Floyd.
Yeah. Right. And so it's very important that we express and find an outlet, find a way to vent these things and make sure we're, and that's I'm not big on advice, giving people advice because everybody's situation is different than others. But the one thing I will say as advice is like, find a way to vent, find a way to get negative energy out because not everybody has a second chance. Right. And, And the way that I grew up, if I didn't have football as an outlet and if I wasn't able to get out of where I was, I'd be dead. Yeah, that's straight up. There's so many people that are like you. Like
I'm about to say, here's that thing where I'm the pretty boy, light skinned guy, and you know they think that just because I look this way,
you think you're pretty,
right? That I don't fight, that I don't do all of this other crap. And I've been in plenty of situations like that in the hood where there are times where I might not have came back. You know, me and my cousins are getting shot at. All this other crazy shit that goes on. Doesn't matter how you look; it's what's going on in your environment. And you know that same thing translated into the Marines. You know, so to your point, like living a whole life of violence, like literally in my hood, everybody was either they didn't call it jail, they called it college. You went to college, you know, either dead or in jail. It's the real shit, you know. Coming back, you know, a few years back, like, oh, there go OG. It's just like I didn't even realize I earned that title. But I want to be able to have a more positive influence on the kids. The only way that we can do that is to just really give them space, acknowledge the roles in the household. And if you're a mom who has to hold down that dad role, explain it in a way where it makes sense, because some of these kids, they're their children. They don't understand. Just like my son, you know, sometimes she'll go over the top and say a whole bunch of stuff. I'm saying, talk to him as if they're not that sophisticated. That's the reasons why legally they're up under us until a certain time. Right. And as long as they're on my watch, I'm gonna do my best, and that's it. And if I don't know, I'm going to seek help. But that's the new part of me. The old part of me was shame, embarrassment, abuse. Just a lot of other stuff that goes on in, unfortunately, the stereotypical Black nuclear family at that time. And I know my parents don't make apologies for it because they didn't know any better. So we have a saying in my household where everybody's guilty, no one's to blame. But we do have to acknowledge the patterns that are going on so that we can have a conscientious and intentful change, if that makes sense.
That's powerful. That's real powerful, man. Appreciate you, brother, man. Appreciate you, man. I'm so happy to be in your presence, man. And we need to make sure that we have more Black grandfathers.
Yes. Period.
So that is my goal, is to not only expose a lot of these undercover fathers in the industry. So if you guys check out Dope Dad's podcast, me and Salvador, we did a little, we're actually going to be.
It was good to see y'all doing it, man. He texted me. He was so excited because he's relaunching. That was so fun.
Right. We're gonna be showing some snippets, some action that we had from this week. And we're going to be relaunching that in a couple of weeks, but we have some sneak previews. We're going to launch that special tomorrow from Dope Dads. And it's just really important that we show motherfuckers doing the right thing.
Yes.
You know, we don't have to be in the shadows. It's okay to be a sensitive dad. It's all right. And just providing a window.
Yes.
Right. So people can peep into that window. It's like, oh yeah, he's in the cannabis. Oh, he's a hustler. He's a trapper, but he's still a great dad.
Right.
You can have that duality.
You can have a lot of it. And shout out to my boy. He's one of my best friends too. He got murdered like right after we saw him. Shot in the face. He had 10 kids, but he always provided for his kids. You know, he always provided. He always found a way.
Right.
And that's what I talked to you both before about the situational ethics. You know, I don't care. Like I'm gonna call them out. Weed maps. They went public. They started in the trap. They had to get some type of experience, whether they like it or not, to also cross over this threshold going from dark to light, and then they transcended. Now, whether they contribute back or not is a whole different story. And I'm not sitting here asking for that, but
whether they claim, who cares?
Right.
You know, that's not the point.
Yeah. And my point in saying that was just that you have to start somewhere in life and just do things. You know, things are going to blow up. It won't always be perfect, but if you create a space where people aren't judging you, labeling you, and evaluating you so that you can get the lesson that you need, then you make your own decisions. Then you become more of a critical thinker. Then you use discernment. These are words that I wasn't grown up learning. I had to get my ass handed to me a few times, you know, but to your point, it's not where you're from, it's where you're at, even mentally where you're at in the hood. You know, we're both from those environments. It doesn't matter whether he was from the country hood or I'm from the city hood. The hood is hood.
Right.
You know, so one of them just looks prettier. But at the end of the day, we're still here collectively as two powerful Black men just saying, hey, you may not like what we say, but I'm going to claim this power and step into it just like he did. And we're going to create a space for other people to speak. And that's all.
And that's just real, man. I appreciate you.
Appreciate
you sharing that word, sharing those words. Shout out to all the fathers out there. Happy motherfucking Father's Day. Make sure you guys check out some Dope Dad shit. We're gonna be dropping that tomorrow. This is a double episode, man. It's like double-sided CD.
Shout out to the Will Smith dad bods.
Shout out to double CDs. Yo, we got a dad bod. And hey. Got stories to tell about that, but I will be getting it together. We're gonna be chronicling all that shit too, and so I can hold myself to account. But I gotta give a couple shout outs. Big shout out to Lamitt Park Rising. So Juneteenth, if you're in Los Angeles, check out Lamitt Park Rising. Some of our close friends in the industry are going to be out there in the cannabis industry as well. You're going to have thousands of people in historic Lamitt Park, beautiful arts district over there, Black history in Los Angeles. And there's going to be all different kinds of vendors, community building exercises, different speakers, like all that stuff, celebrating Juneteenth. That is today, all day long in Lamitt Park Village in Los Angeles. Then also our partners over at ACHEM. So the Association for Cannabis Health Equity in Medicine. We actually have our global Health Summit is going to be tomorrow on Daddy's Day at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you guys check them out too. Much love to the entire Cannavision Global family.
Yes.
Big ups to everybody in the cannabis community. Even if you hate us, I love you because I love the hate. I don't love to hate, but I love the hate.
I got to send a special shout out to Eddie Washington, Califia Gold.
Big ups,
bro.
Big ups, Eddie.
Bro,
what up, Eddie?
Look, man, seriously, all talk, real talk. Like literally, this knee was hurting. I started using it, and it's definitely I can recover. Thank you, my brother.
It seems like he has replenished his soul.
I have. My soul is singing for you, Eddie. Califia Gold.
Big ups, Eddie. Brother. Big ups, Califia Gold. Happy Pride Month, everybody. All the daddies out there, do your damn thing. Yes. Get high tomorrow and eat some great breakfast. And if you're like me, you know, run your robot lawnmower, because that's what I do. Cause I'm gonna flex on y'all motherfuckers. If y'all got a motherfucking Roomba, y'all got robotic vacuum cleaners, y'all ain't shit. Get your game up. Get your
Oh my god, this is like so next level for him. I'm just watching him send me videos of the thing crunching things up. I'm just like, oh,
get your game up, get yourself a Landroid like I got. Let that shit take over. When the gardener tells you, like, oh, it's gonna be $350, they'll be like, yo, fuck you. I'm gonna give myself this Android. It's gonna run my shit.
It's fire. I gotta give you props. You're the only guy I've ever seen with one. It's fire. I'm gonna
check out some live footage of that shit. When it's 100 degrees out, you ain't got to mow your own goddamn lawn. You can go. Tell you what you got to do is check out Dope Dads, and I'll tell you more. See y'all next week.
When there's no place to turn
the fuck up. Thursday, Eventbrite. Hit up every channel and give us your money.
Give me my money.
Get some hoodies, get some t-shirts. I love y'all, man. Much love. And we are out.
And like they say, make like a tree. Get out of here.
Smoke some trees.
Trees some smoke. Wanna flow? Where's the dope?
Ain't no antidote. Don't smoke no coke. I ain't gonna be broke. I ain't no joke.